What I want to get into with you guys is some more practicals with how do we do this? How do we build this community? Why are we doing this? And to go into the depth, we spent a long time. I was only here for part of it. Nikki wasn't really here for any of it. But being able to go through and have this self-reflection as Faith Formation and All Saints, what do we do? What are we trying to do? And what do we need to do better? And community is the main theme that came out of that. We need to build relationships with young people. We need to build relationships with each other. And we need to keep those relationships strong all the way throughout. Why? Well, I think it's made pretty clear since the pandemic. But even before that, you can see, and I think this is one of these things, so most of what I'm getting, this is from Springtide Research Institute, which is where the data that you're getting in this presentation, that's where it's coming from. So they're a religious-based sociological study group. They're based out of Bloomington, Minnesota. And they have some really good things, and they put together this because we can see in all the data for the last 15 years that young people are more and more isolated and they're more and more lonely. So I don't know, you can sit here and say maybe they weren't doing research before and everybody's been a little bit lonely, but it seems to be more and more prevalent. So young people who are here, correct me on any of this if I'm wrong, or if any of this stuff is wrong, let me know about it. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to sit and we got to say, what are the young people, if we're trying to help them, if that's who we're serving, where are they? What are they experiencing? How do we best serve them, and how do we bring them the good news, which is what we're trying to do? How do we bring them into relationship with Jesus, and how do we enter into a relationship with them? So what are they experiencing? Essentially put, it's increased connectivity and decreased connection. So you can see some of the interesting stats here. 69%, so this is the people that they studied are age 13 to 25, are the people that they studied. But I can assure you that everything in here is going to apply. It doesn't start when they're 13, it starts when they're younger, and it's coming to fruition by the time they're 13 and older. So this applies to younger people as well. So 69% said they have 3 or fewer meaningful interactions in a regular day. 40% said they have no one to talk to and that nobody really knows them well, at least sometimes. And more than 1 in 4 say they have 1 or fewer adults in their lives they can turn to talk to if they need to. So constant access to news, information, social media, different ways of personally communicating, ones that most of us never had when we were younger. It has more communication, but it doesn't mean it's depth, right? It doesn't mean it's meaningful connections, and it doesn't mean it's very personal ones or ones that have deep meaning for them. So I just want you to think about this. If it was true before COVID-19, it's especially true now, even more so. And I just want you to think, did you experience this yourself? Do you see this in your kids or in any young people that you know? A little bit more data here for you. So this is agreeing with, at least always or sometimes, that I feel completely alone. This is by race and this is by age. Young people's trust in institutions. So this is one that comes out more and more now. So you can see organized religion falls below public schools. The medical system, I don't really know, maybe they haven't had to do a lot of billing things yet, but and below banks. Slightly above media. Luckily we're above Congress, but it's not great. So what is that telling us? What does that say? Some more important things. So I know, especially now, I just hear more and more things about isn't this the generation of the nuns and they have no religious affiliation? Well, I think just trying to ask people to check a box isn't a best way to be able to learn about them, right? So this looks a little bit deeper and tries to answer well, what do you mean by when you say you're affiliated or when you're not affiliated? And you can look at the numbers here. So this is affiliated, this is unaffiliated. 52% of them say that they have no trust in organized religion. So they're affiliated, but they don't trust them. 20% of them say they're affiliated, but they're not a religious person. Okay. 33% say they attend religious services once a year or less. Okay, so you're affiliated, but you don't go. You're not religious, and you don't trust it. And nearly 1/3 don't think it's important to have a faith community. And over 1 in 5 say they're affiliated with a religious tradition, but they don't try to live it out in their life. And then if you look, if they say they're unaffiliated, well, 60% of them say they're at least slightly spiritual. 28% say they try to live out religious beliefs in their daily lives. So they're unaffiliated, but almost 30% of them try to live it out. And 19% say that they attend religious gatherings at least once a month. 38% say that they are religious, so they're unaffiliated, but they are religious. And 12% of young people say that they have become more religious over the past 5 years. So now that you have all those things memorized, what does that say? It's complex, right? When you think about young people, you should think about they have really complex lives. And it doesn't just mean check a box. It doesn't tell you what somebody's life is like. So we have to go deeper than that. It's easy to assume that it means that they trust it, that they live in the community, that they attend a religious life, but that doesn't mean so. That doesn't mean that they do it. It doesn't mean that they practice it. So, if they're looking for answers, they're religious and they're spiritual, and they're looking for somewhere to do it, but they don't trust religious institutions, what do? Well, they turn to people, right? They go to their relationships. So they're able to pick multiple answers on this. So this is who can you go to when you need somebody to talk to, right? I think we can probably do better than that. And I think we ought to do better than that. And if what we're trying to do is to share a life with Christ with them, I don't think 8% is going to be good enough for us.
Did you notice that most of those are family members?
Mm-hmm. So I want you guys to take one moment here and think about somebody when you were a teenager, or if you're a teenager now, think about somebody who you turn to, an adult that you turn to talk to, somebody that was there to help you, that was there to guide you. Just take a moment and think about them. Did they have one of these roles? Well, take a moment and just tell God thank you for that person. Just say thank you. I just want you guys to look at this for a second and tell me what surprises you out of this. If anything, does anything on this surprise you? What is this telling you? What are you hearing from this?
No adults in their lives that they can talk to.
Yeah, pretty low number.
Kids need adult mentors. They need to have trusted adults.
Look at the difference between these. Just one. This is the difference between one. This is the difference of having one meaningful interaction per day. Look at the impact that it can have. Remember, the first slide, 69% of young people said they have 3 or fewer meaningful interactions in a day. So, what does this tell us? Relationships are the key. It's the key to the whole thing, right? So, we can try to define them by just having them like check a box, but that doesn't really define them, because when we look closer, behaviors, belief, practices, we see that they aren't doing the things that the generations before them would turn to. They're not doing the same things, because they have very different experiences and very different lives, very complex lives. So, they say they're religious, but they don't trust the institution, they don't follow it, and they don't go to it. They say they're not affiliated, but they show up to it. They try to live it out in their life. Okay. It's complicated. But this is why relationships and not affiliation, not membership in a club or even attendance, can tell us more about the state of religion in young people. Relationships with trusted adults help to mitigate loneliness and encourage a sense of meaning and purpose in the lives of young people. All these numbers show the complexity and the nuances of young people's inner and outer lives. And what it really tells us is that relationships are the key that we need to focus on.